So, I accidentally stopped recording. Well, not I stopped recording, I hit pause on accident. But I think the last thing I left off on was that as much as I don't like psych labels, I wouldn't consider Addie on the BPD spectrum. I wouldn't even consider her a narcissist, really. And I hate the term, but even she considered herself a psychopath. And I remember she told me she wanted to be the first teenage Mexican female serial killer and soccer player. And one of the things that I said before I realized I wasn't recording is that one of the things I could say about that is people want to hurt everybody but the people that need to be hurt. And that's all I had to say about that. But it's like, even like, I even had like a lot of stuff in common with this boy. I don't even remember what his name was, I don't think. Or actually, not that I would say it, but actually I think I do. But then I remember, like, I just started having flashbacks about this, actually, because I wasn't even going to talk about this part. I was more so going to talk about, like, always attracting other people that also had BPD. But, like, he was even somebody that I, like, really helped through the turmoil of the whole Addie situation, because that affected him, like, really badly. And I remember, like, I was just upset because, like, I guess I kind of sort of liked him after a while, but he never liked me. And I remember when Addie was like, "It's not my effing fault. I don't know who the F told him to catch. Wait a minute. I don't know who told him to catch effing feelings behind through text messages, and that's not my fault," and all that stuff. In fact, I even like often have like memories which I really shouldn't be having. I need to like get over this, I guess. But I think it's also the fact that like being homeless is like kind of too boring. You have nothing else to do but think about stuff. But anywho, I often have memories of like how when she would do different things to me, she would be like cry about it, or like when I started to really talk about what was actually happening to me in my situation, even before the Cash for Kids system stuff and like all that took off, she would be like, "Well, that's none of my business, and I don't want you telling me your business." Or she'd be like, "Well, it's not my fault you're miserable," and all that stuff. And so anywho, going back to the boy though, like, I like really, as much as I don't even like the term help, I really did help him through like a lot of stuff. And like one of the things looking back on all this is that like, I remember eventually he found a girlfriend that actually liked him, and he was engaged, and he kind of like had pretty much forgot about the whole Addie situation. Like, I haven't talked to him in years, obviously. But like, I remember he was like, last time I talked, he was like, I hadn't even heard the name Addie in so long, I almost forgot about her completely. And all that. And like, he had got back in soccer, he wasn't depressed anymore. He had made better friends, and it's like, I know this is gonna sound so corny and like kind of like, woe is me. I'm not trying to do that, I swear, but it's kind of like, you know, this is why being a quote-unquote nice person isn't a good thing, because it's kind of like, everybody else, they have their happy ending around you, and like, their life situations get better, and then I was fighting through lower level traf and running away from lower level Ramco and brainwashing and MK Ultra type stuff, and then I'm still a street kid. And it's kind of like, you know, you do all this stuff for other people, and then it's like, screw you. And it's like, I swear I'm not trying to do like this woe is me type stuff. It's probably gonna sound like that anyways, but you really do want to look at the reality of the situation and think about it. When you're doing all this stuff for other people who don't give a crap about you, really don't even know you, you don't even really know them, and they don't even give a crap about themselves, you have to think about it. Where are you going to be in there? Because like, it even makes you think about during the abuse evidence videos and how nobody ever cared about anything but the dog, and like, I had people telling me you need to save the dog, and it wasn't even our dog anyways, which I mention all the time. And like, people are like, I hope things get better for the dog, poor dog, and nobody ever cared about me, the other people that were being abused in the videos, my siblings, other random people that were also in a couple videos of the abuse evidence, because of course I had videos of the Cash for Kids system abuse as well, so that means that like, there were other people who were also in there that things were happening to. as I mentioned in my last video, the My Shine kid, he died, etc., etc. And the only thing people ever cared about was a dog. But the thing is, the dog got its happy ending, and the dog ended up being given away, which it wasn't our dog. My older sister, my neighbor sister, who we all live with, was supposed to be watching it for somebody, but the dog was given away or sold or whatever to a dude who owned the farm. The dog, he got a girlfriend, he had kids and everything. He had his happy ending, but me, my siblings, the kids that were in those videos, who were still in the Cash for Kids system, the ones that are still alive, we haven't got our happy ending. Most of those people never will. Like I said, Mashawn died, or he was I guess I could say quote unquote hooped to death, because I don't really know if I could use that word, but it's like, it's all kind of like really interesting when I think about it, because it's like, just like I thought then, why in the world am I focusing on all these other people when I'm literally fighting for my life on a daily basis, trying to not be killed, and I'm worried about Addie and Jacqueline Jeffers Powers and all these other people? And it's like, why in the world? It is very pointless. And that's why, like, when I really think about it, I'm glad that I'm in these isolating situations, because I really need to focus on myself. Like, people are always talking about respecting elders and respecting chomos, respecting quote-unquote parents. Really, the only thing that really matters in the end is respecting yourself, because nobody else is going to give a crap about you. And they're going to run all over you and do whatever. They're going to act like you're not there. Like, kind of like the two polar opposites that you get when you're homeless. Either people completely ignore you and act like you're not there, or people only approach you when they want to, like, molest you or something, or use you, or try to drag you into their cult. It's kind of like that in ways. And then I guess that's kind of it, but I guess maybe not really. And then also, like, another thing that comes up with this, which can even go into soul ties, this is common in, like, people talk about this in, like, sexual relationships, but they don't talk about it when it comes to, like, limerence and attachment issues and BPD type stuff. Never ever talk to somebody, which is manipulative anyways, but I mean, I've done it before plenty of times. Never talk to somebody because they remind you of somebody else, or they remind you of a nicer version of somebody else. And I'm not even going to go into that, but that's just, like, even manipulative on your part, which, I mean, codependency is unintentional manipulation. You just may be the one that never gets the good end of the stick, which I never get the good end of the stick, really. And it even makes you think about something I mentioned before with, like, having older friends or older associates or whatever. The thing about that is that they're always going to see you as a child. They're typically just around you because they pity you if you're in a bad situation. Like, so, I mean, pity is manipulation, like I have a whole video about. It's never really anything good behind it, and it's like, they just see you as, like, a charity. Well, I don't even say charity case necessarily. Let Me Help You Lunatics can see you as a charity case. Pity people can too. And I mean, even Let Me Help You Lunatics can be pity you people, but they're just around you because they feel bad for you, and that's not what you want. And that's never what I've tried to get, but, like, that can happen. And then, like, they see you as a child. They'll also use you as, like, an emotional unpaid therapist as well. But then when you need something, that they're, like, nowhere to be found. Like, even one lady that I mention pretty often, I remember, like, a couple months ago, we met in 2023, long story, but anywho, a couple months ago, she told me that if she wouldn't have met me, she would have, unalived herself. But it's like, you say that, but it's like, I mean, if I need something, even just, like, to talk, I would never be able to get that out of you. And that's, like, stuff like that, when I really start to have these, like, memories, even though some of these things are really recent, it reminds me of why it's actually a good thing that I start to not like most people I meet. And people can always make it seem like I think I'm better, it's a pride thing. Honestly, it's not any of that. And all of that stuff is irrelevant. Really, this is about survival and not making things any worse for yourself than they already could be, or keeping things good if they are good, and minimizing the bull crap. Cause like people, I don't even know what to say about that. Dang, I hate having to pee all the time. Crap. Oh man. Anywho, what was the other thing? This even goes back to something I mentioned in the last video. That like whenever I think that I don't have a certain issue anymore when it comes to like pretty much relating to people, I guess I could say to summarize. And I think that like I've gotten better. Once I get around, I guess I could say the right person. Cause like one thing that I realized this when I was younger, but I never heard anybody actually like really. Okay, pretty much I would say that like we attract what we are, and like people with certain spiritual type things about them, I would be attracted to, or vice versa. But I remember Tiffany Buckner said that what's in them calls out the what's in you, and it's something else that she says as well. The demons, and I don't even really remember, but it's something like that. Anywho, so what was I gonna say? Because now I forgot. I don't know, I guess kind of like how Marine Kingdom spirits generationally set you up to get SA'd. Not just like when you're young, but throughout your whole life, and to keep ending up in bad relationships, or for you to become a seductress, or for you to repeat the cycle of SA and or I already said be SA'd, so yeah. They either want you to do something to somebody else, or for stuff to keep happening to you, or both. And so anywho, it's kind of similar to that, because like the spirits and the people call out to each other and make them like attract each other, kind of like how a person who's been SA'd will always find another person that's been SA'd. I saw this all the time in GA, although, well, in the little 3 months of school I went to, but I mean pretty much everybody, male and female, had been SA'd, so like, I mean, of course they're gonna find each other, so that kind of doesn't really count. But anywho, what was I? Oh yeah, but what I was gonna say is that it's like even with the limerence obsessions or romantic obsession stuff like that, it's like I realize it's a certain type of person with certain traits that's also similar to me in ways sometimes, or just like has certain features that would like make them become an LO to me or whatever. And so it's like isolation can also make you feel like you've gotten better, but really you just haven't been in the situation for the same old stuff to come back up, or the same issues to like resurrect themselves, I guess I could say. So I don't know if most people even get that, but that's also something interesting that I noticed years ago. But I haven't had a limerence obsession, not a real one, in years, but I only ever would have them with women, which I always feel like goes back to like the mommy issue type stuff and the attachment issues. Like I feel like the dude that I call the love of my life, that boy, the boy that was being trafficked by the U.S. military, like I would say that especially him, like he's one of the people that I like could definitely say that I definitely was attracted to in ways, and we definitely had like a lot in common. He was really smart, but I still couldn't even really consider him a limerence obsession. I definitely had like some husband psychosis going. We were probably even both Marine Kingdom agents to each other, but I still couldn't consider him a LO or even a romantic obsession. I don't feel like the way it would be with females was just different. I just could never, I don't know. It's just like really weird. It's hard to explain. And then I also think about something else with like the abusive friendships, I guess I could say. It's like it's so much enmeshment to where it can seem like you're dating, and people may think you're dating, but you're really not. Because it's like it's so much. Because one of the things, like, okay, wait a minute. Like, okay, so with the lady I mentioned earlier, who, this is even the same person that, like, on their 27th birthday last year, or maybe the year before, they had that whole situation where they broke down crying and they didn't want to talk to anybody. And I totally understand that and why, with the whole aging fears, because, like, you have the realization you'll never be anybody's kid and you'll never have a family. Anywho, there's other stuff with that as well, but anywho, anyways, anyhow. So, I remember, for one, from the first day I saw her, I was like, I'm totally gonna have to stay away from her because I can already tell that it's just a lot of, like, one, she would definitely become a limits obsession. Two, she would definitely be intimidated by me and jealous of me. And yeah, of course, all of that went how it went, and I was, of course, right. But it's still my fault because I felt bad because she was always running around crying and talking about driving off of cliffs, and so that's why, like, I guess I felt like I had to, like, try to keep that from happening. But anywho, anyways, anyhow. So, oh yeah, and then it's like they always leave me for, like, some dude. Like, she said she was gonna adopt me, and then she left me for some dude. Other people, they leave me for some chomo. That's a really common thing. Like, it seems like when it comes to women, they're always gonna leave you for, like, some dude that doesn't like them, that's racist, some chomo, stuff like that. And so anywho, anyways, anyhow, to get back to the point, one, people at the shelter, because I would, when I found out about the shelter, I would go there to, like, try to get lunch or whatever, leftover food and stuff. And so I remember that people, since I was always getting into arguments with her about different stuff she was doing to me, or, well, I mean, I wouldn't even consider them arguments. I was trying to talk, but, like, she would just, like, not gaslight, but when they, like, maybe this is gaslighting, but, like, that's not even the word I'm looking for, though. Something else. I don't think it's derail. Whatever it's called, when they just, like, act like there is no problem at all with the situation. Like, there was a lot of things that could even fall under covert essay, that a lot of people, like, disability people are often going to do stuff like that because, like, all of us, like, from, just due to the trauma, like, all of us with trauma, we're going to have boundary issues, and, like, it can cause, like, some covert essay type stuff. Like, there's a situation where she talked to shelter people into letting me in, even though they kept saying I was 14, and I kept telling them that I wasn't. Long story, but, like, I got into the pallet, which is kind of like a little house, and I was in there, and I was changing one day, and she felt like because I was a quote-unquote child, which is really common with disability abusers, that she didn't need to knock on my door. And so she just walked in, and, like, my pallet was right in the front of the place. So, like, for one, there's a whole bunch of chomos and stuff there. And so she just opened my door. Luckily, nobody was around and nobody noticed. And I was changing, and it's, like, wide open, just threw the door open. I literally had, because I have so much trauma with stuff like that anyways from, like, with my mom. And so it's kind of, like, it was just not good. And then I was pretty much paranoid for the rest of the time there. And I literally had to lock my door for just in case she came and opened it while I was changing or just, like, trying to sleep or whatever. I typically would lock it, but it's like, that day I didn't, but she reminded me of why I really needed to. And anywho, when I confronted her about it, she was like, oh, it's just a joke. And it's like, what type of joke? And then she was like, well, pretty much she just felt like I didn't deserve the privacy that I guess anybody should have, because I was a quote-unquote child, and so stuff like that. And we would get into, like, quote-unquote arguments about stuff like that she would do. And because the people at the shelter were so used to DV, they felt like because we were arguing, we were dating. And I remember she would be like, I hate the fact that since I'm surrounded by pedos, everybody thinks I'm a pedo too. That's what she would always say. But it's like, the enmeshment and the boundary crossing can be so bad in these types of, like, quote-unquote associateships or friendships or whatever, to where it can seem like people are dating when they're really not, because it's so toxic, and people for whatever reason only expect that level of toxicity out of romantic relationships. And it's all really interesting, but I definitely didn't make it any better. I just feel like stuff like this just reminds me why I really need to be by myself, to be honest, because it's like, I really don't like people in a lot of ways. And then it's like, when you realize certain stuff and you have, like, certain realizations, and you're tired of people being on the playground bull crap. You're tired of people just sitting around talking about the issues in the world and not doing anything, and like you're like an action type person. People don't like that. People are punks. That's going to cause issues. A lot of stuff's going to cause issues. And I feel like I've been becoming more of a quote-unquote jerk. I remember my last abusers in the Jim Crow self-confined placement claimed that I was arrogant because I wouldn't let them walk all over me and say whatever. Or not like I was arguing with them, but like I wouldn't just let them like insult me and make jokes about how they weren't expecting me to be able to read and stuff like that. And so that made me quote-unquote arrogant. And what else was I going to say with that? And so, hold up. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's a good thing to be a quote-unquote jerk, depending on what's meant by that. And if that really means that I have to become kind of a narc or like be by myself, then I guess it's whatever, because it's kind of like another thing that I realized years ago is that this also is what leads to what gets labeled off for what you can consider BPD. Constantly talking to people that really don't even like you and have to like go back and forth in your head about whether they like you or not, whether they're mad at you or not, why they don't do whatever or why they do whatever. It's just like, it was just too confusing for me, on top of all the stuff that I already had going on. And that was another one of the many reasons, aside from like really waking up to the fact that I was in a really serious, dangerous situation. It was another reason why I really just realized I needed to stop playing the quote-unquote friendship game with people, because none of it is really worth it. And it's like better to really focus on yourself. I get why a lot of people, or at least why certain people, are in this like I'm focusing on myself type mindset, and that's what I really need to be focused on more and more. And then one situation I could think back that I do feel like maybe has something to do with like some BHI type spirits, but like I also think back to the situation with the boy that I mentioned that I met in the Dr. Romney comment section, where like due to, I don't even want to go into too much details, but pretty much he found out that I escaped my abuse situation, and he was like, I told you to stay your butt in that house till 18. And I'm like, first of all, who in the world are you talking to? Like, who even are you? Like, I don't even really remember what your name is or what you looked like. And you're talking about some, I told you to stay in your butt in that house. And I was like, you think you're somebody's daddy or something? And then he was like, well, I mean, I just worry about you and you're a female. And it's like, what in the world? And it's like, I just felt like that was so uncalled for. Like, especially for him to pretty much still be like a random person. I just felt like it was like way too uncalled for. And, you know, and I know people say like it's not like I would be the only good guy in the situation. It's not really that there's a good guy or a bad guy in the situation. I feel like really everybody's the bad guy. Because like in situations like this, you're the bad guy because you put yourself in it and you allowed it. And I don't know what else to say about that. It's kind of like two messed up people get together to do bull crap, really. Just like I say about domestic violence, two messed up people, or sometimes one person that was groomed from a young age, get together to abuse each other and then abuse their kids or somebody else's kids. The only victim in the situation ever is the kids, if there is any. Other than that, it is kind of whatever. So, but then it's also kind of like, I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I don't really know what to say. It's like, I mean, you gotta really think about what you attract and what you don't attract. And it's like in the earlier parts, I was like always really hypersexual. So like, of course, people were gonna want to like not want to be around me when I was like elementary age up to kind of 12, more so 10. Because like, it just wasn't safe for them. And I was too hypersexual and trying to force people into arranged marriages. And I remember, like I said in my last video, I used to think that like that was my main issue, and that once I fixed that, I would be better. But then I realized that there's just like other things about me that will honestly probably never change, that will make people feel some type of way about me. But then it's also the fact that like I really just needed to leave people alone in general, and that I guess that's pretty much it. Like, it's kind of like none of it's really worth it. Yeah, so I remember something else I forgot. I guess since I kind of went into a rant a long time ago about, like, quote-unquote relationships, this makes you think about something else, going back to the Instagram thing. And even, like, me taking some, I guess I could say taking some pages from Addie's book. Kind of, not really. Like, even before my situation got really bad, I even ended up, like, there was a point in time where I guess I could say, well, I didn't really dump on these people that much. I didn't really tell people much about my situation. Because like I said, like, some of these things, like, especially the earlier Instagram situations, not any of the ones I mentioned, I don't think. Because, like, by the time that whole thing happened with the girl, with the cousin stuff, I had already been through, the cash for kids system abuse and all that. That was when I was actually, I think when I met her, I guess I could say, that was when I had already been let off the drugs, and that was before I had dropped down to 80 pounds and really started to get sick. Or no, it wasn't. No, hold up. I think I met her a little before I started to really get sick and drop down to 80 pounds, and then I continued to talk to her up until, hold up, wait a minute. My timeline is all screwed up because I'm starting to have, like, some memories. Like, I remember, no, because up until the little 3 months of school I went to, I was still talking to her before, like, she kind of got, I mean, I understand why people get fed up of hearing about my situation, even if I'm listening to them talk about their situation. She just stopped responding, and she would, like, view the messages. I don't really know what in the world, but I don't know. That always confused me, but, and then I think I met the other girl, I guess I could call her the Jersey girl, the, one who was a little bit old, the one who was like, y'all kids are grown these days, I still play with Barbies, that girl. I met her around this time, because I remember, around the time that I met her, no, I didn't. Wait a minute. Hold up. Nah. Because I remember, I'm having some memories. I'm not going to go into all that because I'm going to be all over the place, but pretty much, anywho, in the earlier part of, oh my gosh, the earlier part of the IG thing, starting when I was 10, because that's when, like, I remember I mentioned before in a couple videos that there was this point in time that, like, since I was so hypersexual, this is when I was 10 and 11, when I would meet people on IG because the attachment issues and the parental neglect, some people wouldn't even believe that, like, I was actually the age I was saying I was. Like, some people would think that, like, I was secretly, like, a grown man or something. And then, like, due to the attachment stuff, I had, like, just met, like, a lot of people who I really don't even remember. Some of the people, they kind of had, like, the same name. In fact, I kind of met, this is what I was thinking about earlier. I remember I had even told my mom about it, even though I shouldn't. She was like, if you were able to get some girl mixed up with some other girl for months, and you really didn't talk to her and tell her stuff, and then realize, dang, you know what, this isn't even the right account, this is somebody else, then you really didn't know her. The few true things my mom had ever said to me. But anywho, there was, like, 2 accounts. I remember their names were, like, Mary Elizabeth. 2 different people. One blocked me, but I didn't realize that she had blocked me. And so I had tried to, like, search for the account to tell her something else, about something else that happened. And after some months, I realized that I was like, you know what? I don't think you're the same person. And then she was like, yeah, I'm not the same person. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. And I had told her, I don't remember what I told her, but I told her all types of stuff, I'm sure. And it's like, there was definitely this point in time where, like, due to, like, the neglect and stuff, I was, like, tired of the loneliness and desperation. And then, like, I just started, like, meeting these random people. This is definitely how a lot of people get dragged into the chomo thing. But I feel like for me, I didn't do that, but I was a predatory person. And I have to throw this in here. This is why in recent times, well, I guess I could just say now, like, all the Marine Kingdom chomo SA agents, not that I've actually been assaulted, but just the harassment stuff, even though I know a lot of people go through it, like, especially since I've been, like, homeless, I've actually felt like oftentimes this is, like, some type of karma for all the different things that I've done to different people, especially when I was a lot younger. And I know that's honestly, like, not true, but it just feels like that, especially thinking back on different situations like this. And that's one of the reasons why I really just, like, I was actually told to get Instagram by a girl that I met in 5th grade, but then after a while I was like, yeah, I should just get off social media. Especially the thing where I was like, I need to focus on my abuse situation and surviving and not being the unpaid therapist for other people that don't even like me. I deleted all my accounts and everything. There's also a second go around where I did that, but I'm not going to go into that really, because I don't even remember much about that. But that was one of the best things I did, because it's like I even met this one boy. We were the same age, but they just felt like I was just, like, too predatory, and they tried to, like, make it more weird than it really had to be. And I remember I would play Roblox with them being him and his there's this girl that he was friends with, and he was, like, one of the people that was, like, really eye-opening to me when I think about multiple personalities, beta sex kid and programming, and DID, because he liked boys, but he also was, like, a Lovely Peaches stalker fan. And I had noticed this trend with, like, the fact that a lot of gay little white boys from the UK really liked Lovely Peaches, and they would call her their queen. Like, they like Lovely Peaches like how Americans like or worship Beyonce. And it's kind of interesting because Lovely Peaches, she is a trafficking victim. She was a kid the whole time. She was obsessed with Nicki Minaj, and Nicki Minaj is one of the most famous or one of the first really famous beta sex kid and programming DID MK Ultra slaves. And one of her multiple personalities that was programmed into her from anger was Roman. And I remember, even in a Kaurine video, she had a clip where Nicki Minaj was talking about this. And Roman, from what Nicki Minaj said, that personality is the spirit of a gay boy who's from the UK. And I find that so interesting, that, because, like, one of the things that I had really realized when I was, like, really young is that music is made to appeal to people under certain forms of trauma-based mind control with certain trauma and multiple personalities. And I find it really interesting that these gay boys from the UK flock to Lovely Peaches and Nicki Minaj, but Lovely Peaches also likes Nicki Minaj, and one of Nicki Minaj's multiple personalities is a gay British boy. And then I think Martha was the mother, because that's how the programming works. You have the kid, the mom, and even people in general with psychology, like, they have I forgot what it's called. I think it's like an acronym. It's not EPA. I don't even remember, but pretty much, like, all people, they have the child part, the parent part, or nurturer part, and then there's something else I can't remember. And yeah, so that was really interesting to me. And so, anyways, yeah. And then I met them, and I don't really, dang, my foot's falling asleep. I don't really remember much else about the whole situation, but I just remember that there was this point in time where, like, I was really desperate, and I was, like, finding these quote-unquote friends off Instagram. Like, I remember there was this one girl, she blocked me after, like, a week or something like that. Kind of reminiscent of the girl from the 7-Day Friendship. And then some of these people were, like, way older than me. Like, I remember one of the first people that I feel like I was a complete horror to with the hypersexuality. When I was 10, she was 15. She, in fact, really, I thought about this kind of before, but I forgot about it. Like, recently I thought about this. We're having memories and pieces stuff together. She was kind of like the girl and the boy whose mom OD'd before I had even met them, because even though I met her on IG, because people, pretty much people like me, my dad, etc., are clairvoyant. Like, this is how my dad is able to find people to abuse on Facebook who are also traumatized like he is, and he's able to like tell who's going to be easy to manipulate by the types of posts they make on Facebook, and of course vice versa. Not that I was trying to manipulate people, but this is just how the clairvoyancy works. You can see that something in them is similar to what's in you, even without ever seeing the person's face or a picture of them or any of that. And so, I remember she liked rock music. She liked, she was always talking about some dude whose name was, crap, I don't remember, but like he was in some rock band and he made some song, or they made some song called The Black Parade, and he like, I'm trying to remember his name. He had like white, his face was painted white, kind of like a mime, but he was emo. I think it's Edgar, I don't know, but anywho, she was 15. This is also when I was splitting really, really bad. Not like now from the blood sugar stuff, but like, I mean, actually, like back then it was like on really some like DID type stuff. And I don't really remember much about it, but like, I'm trying to remember. We would just tell each other about our lives. Oh no, I remember what I was last saying though. What I was last saying is that she was like the other two people I just mentioned, because she lived with her aunt, because her mom was an addict and her mom had OD'd and her dad had disappeared. And it's really interesting how it's like we all just kind of like, it's like we're all the same person, but we just kind of look different, and we're different in some ways. Because it's like, I attract people who are also like me, but they're like the same person over and over again, but the different ethnicities, different ethnicities and different genders and different cultural and like socio-economic, I don't really know how to say it, backgrounds, but it's like they're all kind of the same person. And it's like BPD isn't even like a, not that I like the label stuff in that way, but it's kind of like it's like a vibration, really, and you attract other people on that vibration. And like, I just like, looking back now, Instagram I feel is so dead, or maybe it's just because I don't even get on there and I don't use social media other than like YouTube. It's like, if I was to try to do that, not that I would, but I'm just saying, if I was to try to do that again and like find people in my age range or something close to that to like talk to, that I have something in common with, I don't even think it would like work in like these days. Like, I just feel like it's just kind of bizarre that I was even able to find so many people in my same age range to pretty much terrorize, not on purpose. And then it's like they were also always in abuse situations as well. Like in fact, the boy who I mentioned earlier that liked Lovely Peaches really bad and was obsessed with her for whatever reason, his mom had passed away. And then his friend, the girl, I think her parents died too, but they both had parents that were abusive. Like, his mom was really abusive before she passed away, just like the boy that I mention pretty often that I consider to be the love of my life. And so it's like they're all the same people over and over and over and over and over again. And either I'm the bad guy, or, well, I mean, I don't want to label anybody off as like necessarily the bad guy, but like, either I'm the perpetrator on accident or they're the perpetrator on accident. And that's pretty much how it goes. And yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Okay, I remember now because I remember the girl's old IG name. It was Frank Snazzy Lingery, and she liked to post memes. Like I remember there was this one meme which I only ever seen one other person post, and it was like somebody who caught their dog assaulting their newborn while it was laying on the floor, and I was like, that's really an interesting video for somebody to even record. Like, and then when the person caught the dog ran, and I just felt like that was really interesting. So I remember she posted that and some other stuff. In fact, I even knew this one boy that I met who he didn't get banned for that quote unquote meme, but he got banned for some other memes he uploaded. I don't know what it was. In fact, he actually did watch this channel at one point in time, but I don't know what happened. But I mean, it's kind of like, I remember like once I had got out of my situation the last time I talked to him, which I think his name was Jamil, because I think his account name was this Jamil, by the way. I remember telling him that honestly, like, I don't even really remember how I met you on Instagram, but honestly, I really just apologized because I felt like when I was at like some bad parts of my situation, even before I had even got to the abuse evidence videos part, and even before I had even admitted that my situation was what it was, I feel like I like found a lot of random people out the woodworks somehow that I would emotional and trauma dump on, that would also I would tell them about my abuse situation, they would tell me about their situation, and I just feel bad looking back, but it's also kind of like Palantir has so much stuff they could use against me to where, like, honestly, I don't even know, but it's really interesting how those things go and how, like, we all just, like, attract each other, or where I run to them, I guess I could say. And I'm not saying that, like, it's a bad thing or that they did anything wrong. I'm just, like, speaking in general. It's really interesting because it's like I some of that stuff I didn't even piece together to really just now talking about it. Like, I never really thought much about how, I think I did before one time, but even the Frank Snazzy Lingery girl, which Frank was the name of the rock star dude, I think. No, Gerard Way. Some dude named Frank, some guy named Gerard Way that she liked a lot that were like in a rock band or something, I think. And they made the song The Black Parade. And every time I think about the show, the cartoon Over the Garden Wall, where like there's this one song where like the baby brother dude, he was singing to Marmalade, and when I think about that, I think about the whole Black Parade song, although I don't really know the rhythm of the song. I think I did listen to it once because she advised me to, and I felt like it was trash. But that was really interesting. It's like her mom OD'd and all that, and she was also emo. I mean, I feel like I'm even pretty emo, but I think a couple people I met were kind of emo. And it's like, I don't know.